My 16-year-old son found out about my wife's affair before I did. What he saw on her phone turned our world upside down. Hidden hotel bookings, crypto transactions, and plans to vanish with $300,000 of her own money. When I brought it up over dinner, I smiled as she froze at the sight of who walked in. My name is David Haynes. I'm 43 years old, and until half a year ago, I believed my life was perfectly on track. For the past 15 years, I've worked as the chief accountant at Harrison Retail Group, handling finances for a dozen stores across Texas. It's not flashy work, but it paid well and gave Gloria and me the life we'd always dreamed of, back when we were young, broke, and full of plans. A cozy home in suburban Dallas, good schools for our kids, and the comfort of knowing money wasn't a daily worry. Our children, Macy and Asher, were my entire world. Macy, 12, with her mom's blonde hair and my stubborn streak, had just entered middle school and was already proving to be brighter than either of us. Asher, 16 and tall for his age, was the kind of boy who protected his little sister without needing to be told, the kind of son any father would be proud of. Gloria had always been driven. When we first met in college, she studied marketing and talked endlessly about making her mark on the world one campaign at a time. After the kids came along, she paused her career for a few years. But 5 years ago, when she returned to work as the marketing director at Pinnacle Solutions, she threw herself into it with the same passion she once gave our family. That should have been my first clue. The late nights started out harmless. Big campaign coming up next month, honey, she'd say, kissing my cheek and grabbing her keys. Don't wait up. Then came the weekend calls that couldn't wait, client dinners that ran late, and business trips that seemed to appear out of nowhere. I trusted her completely. Why wouldn't I? This was Gloria, the woman who stood by me through my father's funeral, who stayed up all night when Asher was sick as a baby, who celebrated my every success and lifted me after every failure. We were a team, but teams fall apart when they stop talking. Somewhere along the line, we did. The morning everything unraveled began like any other. I was making coffee in the kitchen when Asher came downstairs, his face tight with worry. "Dad," he said quietly, looking around to make sure we were alone. "I need to tell you something." That's when I learned my 16-year-old son had been holding on to a truth no kid should carry. He closed the kitchen door and leaned against it, like he was afraid someone might burst in. I froze, watching him gather the courage to speak. "Dad, I've been noticing things," he began, his voice barely above a whisper. "Things about Mom that don't add up." I set down my cup, giving him my full attention. "What kind of things, son?" Asher raked his hand through his hair, a nervous habit he got from me. "Last month, when you were in Houston for that conference, I came home early from practice. Coach got sick. Mom's car was in the driveway, but so was a black Mercedes I didn't recognize. My stomach tightened, though I kept my face calm. Maybe a colleague, I suggested. Your mom has meetings sometimes." "That's what I thought," Asher said. But when I went inside, it was quiet. Too quiet. I called for her, and it took a while before she came down. Her hair was messy, and she was wearing that blue robe you got her for Christmas, even though it was the middle of the afternoon. A chill crept up my spine, but I stayed composed. He needed me steady. "She said she wasn't feeling well and had been napping," Asher continued. "But she wasn't sick. She was nervous. Really nervous. And she kept asking when you'd be home, like she was calculating something." "Did you see who the Mercedes belonged to?" I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. Asher nodded. I pretended to go upstairs, but I watched through the window. 20 minutes later, a guy came out, tall, nice suit, looked like one of Mom's business types. Got in the car and left. "Did you recognize him?" "Not then," Asher said, his tone firming. "But I've seen him since, at Macy's school play last week. Remember how Mom said she might be late because of a client call? She showed up right on time. But guess who was sitting in the back row?" My gut twisted. "The same man?" I asked. "The same man," Asher confirmed. "And Dad, they didn't sit together, but I saw the way they looked at each other. It wasn't business." I turned to the window, staring out at the backyard where my kids used to play. The old swing set was still standing, untouched, but heavy with memories. Everything seemed normal, calm, as if nothing was wrong. But inside our home, my life was quietly unraveling. "Asher," I said, turning to face him, "why are you telling me this now? You could have kept it to yourself." My son's jaw tightened, and for a moment, He seemed older than his 16 years. Because you deserve to know the truth, Dad. And Macy has started noticing things too. She asked me yesterday why Mom acts differently, why she's always on her phone. What did you tell her? Nothing, he admitted. But I can't keep covering for Mom forever. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to Macy. I put my hand on his shoulder. You did the right thing telling me. But this stays between us until I figure out what to do. Can you handle that? Asher nodded. What are you going to do, Dad? I looked at my son, this young man who had already shown more integrity than his mother had in months. I'm going to find out exactly what's going on, I said, and then I'll deal with it. I spent the rest of the weekend planning my next steps. By Monday morning, I had made a choice that would either save my marriage or end it forever. I wasn't going to confront Gloria directly, not yet. Instead, I decided to give her one final chance to be honest. That evening, I booked a table at Meridian, the upscale downtown restaurant we always chose for special occasions. I told Gloria I wanted to take her out for a quiet dinner, just the two of us, to reconnect. She seemed pleased but surprised, which only made what I was about to do harder. Wednesday night came, and we sat across from each other in the soft candlelight. Gloria looked stunning in her emerald dress, her blonde hair catching the light. For a moment, I almost hesitated. This was the woman I loved, the mother of my children, the person I planned to grow old with. This is lovely, Gloria said, sipping her wine. We should do this more often. We should, I replied, studying her closely. Gloria, I need to ask you something, and I need complete honesty. Her smile faltered. Of course. What is it? I leaned forward, my voice low and steady. Are you having an affair? The color drained from her face, and her hand shook slightly as she set her glass down. David, why would you ask that? Because I know about the late nights, the mysterious calls, the lies about where you've been. I know about the hotel receipts and secret meetings. What I don't know is, Gloria's breath became shallow. She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. I don't know what you mean. Don't lie to me again, I warned. I have evidence, Gloria. I have proof. The question is whether you'll tell me the truth, or I'll have to lay it all out myself. She stared at me for a long moment, calculating. Then she straightened and met my gaze. I've been seeing someone, she admitted quietly, for about 8 months. Even though I expected it, hearing her confess hit me like a punch. I stayed calm. 8 months, I repeated. Who is he? Cole Whitman, she said. A corporate attorney. We met through work on a client dispute. The name meant nothing to me, for now. Are you in love with him? Gloria hesitated. I think so, yes. And our marriage, our kids, do they mean anything to you? Tears formed in her eyes. Of course they do. David, this wasn't supposed to happen. It just happened. I signaled for the check. Nothing just happens, Gloria. You made your choices. You chose to betray our family. You chose to lie to me every day for 8 months. David, please, can we work through this? I stood as the waiter brought the bill. At dinner, my wife admitted the affair. I spoke softly, enough for her to hear. I smiled as her face dropped at the sight of who walked in. What are you talking about? Who's walking in? Gloria gasped. The restaurant door opened. Cole Whitman himself. Exactly as I expected. Tall, confident, polished, arrogance radiating as if he owed nothing to anyone. He strode in, scanning the room, and froze when he saw our table. Gloria's gasp was audible. Cole, what are you doing here? You texted me, he said cautiously. I smiled. I didn't send a text, Cole. I used Gloria's phone to invite you here. Both their faces went pale as they realized what had happened. I continued calmly. When someone lies to you for 8 months, you learn to be resourceful. While Gloria showered this morning, I went through her phone, found your contact info, your texts, even your little pet names for each other. Everything seemed calm and normal on the surface. Yet inside the house, my world was quietly collapsing. Asher, I said, turning back to him. Why are you telling me this now? You could have kept it to yourself. My son's jaw tightened, and for a moment, he looked older than 16. Because you deserve to know the truth, Dad. And Macy has started noticing things too. She asked me yesterday why Mom acts so different, why she's always glued to her phone. What did you tell her? Nothing, he replied. But I can't keep covering for Mom forever. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to Macy. I placed my hand on his shoulder. You did the right thing telling me. But from now on, this stays between us until I figure out what to do. Can you handle that? Asher nodded. What will you do, Dad? I looked at my son, this young man who had just displayed more honesty than his mother had in months. I'm going to find out exactly what's been happening, I said, and then I'll take care of it. I spent the rest of the weekend planning my next steps. By Monday morning, I had made a choice that could either save my marriage or destroy it completely. I wasn't going to confront Gloria directly, not yet. Instead, I decided to give her one final opportunity to come clean. That evening, I reserved a table at Meridian, the upscale downtown restaurant we always chose for special occasions. I told Gloria I wanted a quiet dinner, just the two of us, to reconnect. She looked pleased but surprised, which only made what I was about to do harder. Wednesday night came, and we sat across from each other under the soft candlelight. Gloria looked radiant in her emerald dress, her blonde hair shimmering. For a moment, I almost faltered. This was the woman I loved, the mother of my children, the person I intended to grow old with. This is lovely, Gloria said, sipping her wine. We should do this more often. We should, I replied, studying her face closely. Gloria, I need to ask you something, and I need complete honesty. Her smile faltered. Of course. What is it? I leaned in, keeping my voice low but steady. Are you having an affair? The color drained from her face, and her hand trembled slightly as she set down her wine. David, why would you ask that? Because I know about the late nights, the strange calls, the lies about where you've been. I know about the hotel receipts and secret meetings. What I don't know is, Gloria's breath became shallow. She opened her mouth to speak, closed it, and tried again. I don't know what you mean. Don't lie to me again, I warned. I have proof. The question is whether you tell me the truth yourself, or I lay it all out for you. She stared at me, thinking, calculating. Finally, she straightened and met my eyes. I've been seeing someone, she admitted quietly, for about 8 months. Even though I had expected it, hearing her say it felt like a blow. I stayed calm. 8 months, I repeated. Who is he? Cole Whitman, she said. A corporate lawyer. We met through work during a client contract dispute. The name meant nothing to me, for now. Are you in love with him? Gloria hesitated. I think so, yes. And our marriage, our children, do they mean anything to you? Tears formed in her eyes. Of course they do. David, this wasn't supposed to happen. It just happened. I signaled for the check. Nothing just happens, Gloria. You made choices. You betrayed our family. You lied to me every day for 8 months. David, please, can we work this out? I stood as the waiter approached with the bill. At dinner, my wife admitted the affair. I spoke quietly, just loud enough for her to hear. I smiled as her face dropped at the sight of who walked in. What are you talking about? Who's walking in? Gloria gasped. The restaurant door opened. Cole Whitman himself. Tall, polished, confident, radiating arrogance as if nothing could touch him. He scanned the room and froze when he saw our table. Gloria gasped audibly. Cole, what are you doing here? You texted me, he said cautiously. I smiled. I didn't send a text, Cole. I used Gloria's phone to bring you here. Both faces went pale as they realized what had happened. I continued calmly, seated. When someone lies for 8 months, you learn to be resourceful. While Gloria showered this morning, I went through her phone, found your contact info, your text history, even the little nicknames you used for each other. Gloria's hands trembled now. David, I can explain, she started. No need. I interrupted. It's all very clear. What's also clear is that this ends tonight. Cole straightened his tie, trying to look composed. Look, David, I think we can handle this like adults, he said. I rose to my full height, making him take a step back. Adults don't sneak behind their spouse's back. Adults don't lie to their children about where they're going. Adults have integrity, something you clearly wouldn't recognize. David, please, Gloria whispered. Can we go home and talk about this privately? Home. I pulled out my phone and showed them a screenshot. You mean the home you were planning to abandon? According to your messages, you and Cole have been plotting your exit for weeks. Both stared at the phone in horror. But here's the thing. I continued, putting my phone away. I'm not going to make this easy for either of you. Gloria, you want out? Fine. But you leave with exactly what you brought into this marriage. Nothing more. That's not fair, Cole said, lawyer instincts kicking in. Texas is a community property state, Is it? I smiled. How familiar are you with financial fraud laws, Cole? Because I know them very well, It's part of my job. Blood drained from Gloria's face as she realized what I was implying. That's right, I said. I know about the money you've been moving, Gloria. The joint accounts you've been draining, the credit cards used for your romantic trips, all of it. I placed a folder on the table. Inside were bank statements, credit card records, hotel receipts, enough evidence to prove financial misconduct in divorce proceedings. Cole picked up the folder with trembling hands. This can't be legal. It's completely legal, I assured him. Just like it will be legal when I file for divorce on grounds of adultery and present all this to the judge. Gloria was now crying, mascara streaking her cheeks. David, think about the children. I am, I said firmly. They deserve better than parents who lie, cheat, and betray the people who love them most. I left cash for the dinner on the table. Enjoy your evening together. It's the last one you'll have without consequences. As I walked toward the exit, Cole muttered something about damage control, but I didn't stop to listen. My phone buzzed, a text from my sister Nicole. Everything ready for tomorrow? I typed back. Phase 1 complete. Time for Phase 2. The next morning, Nicole arrived at my house with 2 large briefcases and a look that said someone was about to have a very bad day. My sister was always the tougher one between us, and as a senior partner at Dallas's top law firm, she had a reputation for dismantling those who thought they were untouchable. Tell me you have everything I asked for, Nicole said, setting her briefcases on the kitchen table. I handed her a thick folder, bank statements, credit card records, phone logs, even GPS data from Gloria's car, covering the last 18 months. Nicole scanned the documents, her expression growing darker with each page. This is worse than I thought, David. She didn't just steal money. She's been moving assets in preparation for divorce. What do you mean? Look at these transfers. Nicole pointed to highlighted entries. Small amounts, always under $10,000 to avoid banking alerts. But over time, she's moved nearly $300,000 into accounts not in her name. My blood ran cold. $300,000, all traced to Cole Whitman's various business accounts. David, your wife and her boyfriend have been planning this for months. They intended to wipe you out and disappear. Nicole opened her first briefcase, revealing stacks of legal documents. Here's the beauty of being a lawyer, she said with a predatory smile. I know exactly how to turn their plan against them. What do you mean? I asked. Cole Whitman isn't just any attorney, Nicole explained. He's under investigation by the state bar for ethical violations, 3 separate complaints in the past 2 years, all involving conflicts of interest and mishandling client funds. She pulled out another set of papers. In Gloria's company, there's a strict morality clause. Adultery with business associates can lead to immediate termination without severance. I stared at the documents, realization dawning. You're going to destroy them both. I'll use the law to make sure they pay, Nicole said, correcting me. By the time I'm done, Cole will be disbarred, and Gloria will be unemployed, broke, and facing criminal charges for financial fraud. Nicole opened her second case, revealing what looked like surveillance gear. But first, we need to catch them in the act. They're meeting tonight at Cole's apartment. I have the address. How do you know that? I asked. Because I've been monitoring Gloria's phone since you gave me her password yesterday. She thinks she's careful, but every text, every call, every GPS ping is being recorded. Nicole handed me a small recorder. This is a recording device. Tonight you confront them at Cole's place and get them to admit everything on tape. Is that legal? I asked. Texas is a one-party consent state for recordings, Nicole explained. As long as you're part of the conversation, the recording is admissible. I turned the device over in my hand and looked at her. What should I say? Offer them a deal, she said. Tell them you'll accept a quiet divorce with shared custody if they return the stolen money. Let them think they're getting away with it. But once they admit theft or agree to return the funds, we have them. The moment they confess, it's theft. The moment they promise to give it back, they've admitted the crime. With that recording, I'll destroy them both. Her smile was sharp as a blade. Cole's apartment was in one of Dallas's pricier towers, the kind of building that whispers success and entitlement. Riding the elevator to the 20th floor, I could feel the recorder in my pocket, a small weight of promise. I knocked. Cole opened the door in a silk robe that probably cost more than most people make in a month. David, he said, surprised. What are you doing here? I came to talk business, I replied, stepping inside. "Where's Gloria?" "She's in the bedroom," he said, nervous. "Maybe this isn't the best time." "It's the perfect time," I cut in. "Get her out here. We settle this now." A few minutes later, Gloria appeared, wrapped in a bathrobe, hair messy. The sight of her in another man's apartment should have hurt more than it did. Mostly I felt contempt. "David, what are you doing here?" she asked, voice unsteady. "I'm here to make you both an offer," I said, taking a seat on Cole's leather couch. "One that could save us all a lot of trouble." They sat down across from me, and I continued. "I know about the transfers, the hidden accounts, the plan to vanish with our assets." Gloria began to protest, but I raised a hand. "Let me finish. Return every penny you took, and I'll agree to a quiet divorce. No criminal charges, no scandal, no custody fight. You get your new life. I get mine." Cole leaned in, lawyer instincts clicking. "What exactly are you accusing us of?" "Don't play games," I said. "I have bank records showing Gloria moved nearly $300,000 into accounts under your control in Texas. That's theft of marital assets." Gloria went pale. "David, I can explain. Can you explain why you moved our children's college funds into your boyfriend's business account?" I asked. "Why you've been charging hotel rooms and gifts for another man to our joint cards?" Cole stammered. "Okay, suppose some money was moved. What guarantee do we have you won't sue anyway?" I pulled out a document Nicole had prepared, a signed agreement offering to waive criminal prosecution in exchange for the return of all marital assets. Cole read it slowly. "This seems reasonable. Gloria, what do you think?" Gloria cried, mascara running. "I never meant for it to go this far. We were planning a future." "So you admit you took the money?" I asked. "Yes," she whispered. "But it wasn't stealing, it was community property." "Community property moved without your spouse's knowledge or consent," I said. "That's theft." Gloria and Cole set the paper down. "All right, David. We'll return the money, but we need time to liquidate investments." "Investments?" I raised an eyebrow. "We put the money into cryptocurrency and some high-yield accounts," Cole explained. "It'll take a few days to convert it back to cash." "Fine," I said. They had just confessed not only to taking the money but to deliberately concealing it in investments, a planned act of financial fraud. "Fine," I said, rising to my feet. "You have 1 week to return every cent. After that, you're on your own." As I headed for the door, Gloria called after me. "David, for what it's worth, I really am sorry." I turned back once more. "No, Gloria, you're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry you got caught." As the elevator descended, I took out my phone and texted Nicole. "Got everything we need." Her reply came instantly. "Time to bring them down." The hardest part wasn't confronting Gloria or Cole. It was sitting down with Asher and Macy to explain that our family was falling apart. But they deserved honesty, especially Asher, who had carried this secret for weeks. "Kids," I began that evening as we sat in the living room, "I need to tell you something important about your mother and me." Macy looked up from her homework, concern written across her 12-year-old face. "Are you getting divorced?" Her bluntness caught me off guard. "Why do you think that?" I asked. "Mom's been acting strange," Macy said simply. "And you've been sad. Plus, Asher told me Mom has a boyfriend." I glanced at Asher, who gave a small, guilty shrug. "She figured it out on her own, Dad. She's not dumb." "No, she's not," I agreed. Turning back to Macy, I said softly, "Yes, sweetheart, your mother and I are getting divorced." Macy nodded, taking it in. "Will we have to choose who to live with? What would you want?" I asked gently. "We want to stay with you," Asher said at once. "Both of us." Macy nodded firmly. "Mom lied to us, Dad. She said she was somewhere else, but she wasn't. You never lie." Their trust broke my heart and warmed it at the same time. "Your mother loves you both very much," I said quietly. "She just made some terrible choices." "Will we still see her?" Macy asked. "Of course. She'll always be your mother, no matter what happens between us." Asher leaned forward. "Dad, what about the money she took? Nicole said she stole from us." I made a mental note to remind my sister not to discuss adult issues with the kids. "That's being handled by the lawyers," I told him. "Don't worry about it." "Are we going to be okay?" Macy whispered. I pulled them both close. "We'll be more than okay. I promise." When Nicole and I arrived at the courthouse for the emergency hearing, reporters crowded every corner. Word of Gloria's theft had spread fast. The local media loved the story of a cheating wife who robbed her own family. Gloria sat at the defendant's table beside a court-appointed attorney, looking nothing like the confident woman who once planned a new life with Cole. Her designer clothes were replaced by a plain black dress, her face drawn and tired. Cole was nowhere to be seen. His own legal troubles had worsened after the state bar launched an investigation into his finances. "Your Honor," Nicole began, addressing Judge Patricia Hamilton, "we're here because the defendant systematically drained the marital assets in preparation for abandoning her family. We have documented proof of more than $300,000 in unauthorized transfers." Gloria's weary public defender, James Murphy, rose. "Your Honor, my client admits to certain mistakes but maintains that, as a spouse, she had legal access to the joint accounts." "Legal access?" Judge Hamilton replied sternly. "Yes, but not the right to secretly empty them without her husband's knowledge. Mrs. Haynes, do you understand the charges against you?" Gloria stood shakily. "Yes, Your Honor." "How do you plead to the charges of theft of marital assets and financial fraud?" After a long pause, Gloria whispered, "Guilty, Your Honor." The judge's gavel fell sharply. "Mrs. Haynes, you are hereby ordered to repay all stolen funds within 30 days or face criminal prosecution. Custody of the minor children is awarded to Mr. Haynes, with supervised visitation for you until restitution is complete." As we left the courthouse, Gloria tried to stop me. "David, please. The children want to see you," I said quietly. "But that's their decision, not mine. You'll have to earn back their trust, just like everyone else you betrayed." Nicole squeezed my shoulder as we walked away. "It's over, David. You won." But as I looked back at Gloria standing alone on the courthouse steps, I realized it was never about winning or losing. It was about protecting my children and rebuilding what she had nearly destroyed. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I found myself in a small downtown bookstore, watching the owner rearrange a display of mystery novels. Rachel Thorne moved with quiet precision, her auburn hair glowing in the afternoon sunlight streaming through the windows. "You know," she said without looking up, "most people who come in here eventually buy a book." I laughed, realizing I'd been visiting Thorne Books twice a week for a month without purchasing a thing. "Maybe I just like the atmosphere," I said. "Or maybe," she teased, "you're working up the courage to ask me for coffee." My 16-year-old son discovered my wife's infidelity before I ever did. What he uncovered on her phone turned our lives upside down. Secret hotel bills, cryptocurrency transfers, and a scheme to vanish with $300,000 of our money. That night at dinner, I confronted her, smiling as her expression changed when she saw who had arrived. "My name is David Haynes, 43 years old, and until 6 months ago, I believed I had everything under control. For the past 15 years, I've worked as the chief accountant for Harrison Retail Group, overseeing the finances of a dozen stores across Texas. The work isn't glamorous, but it pays well, giving Gloria and me the lifestyle we dreamed of in our youth. A comfortable home in suburban Dallas, excellent schools for our children, and financial security that allowed us to focus on living rather than worrying about bills. Our kids, Macy and Asher, meant the world to me. Macy, 12, inherited her mother's blonde hair and my stubbornness, had just started middle school, and was already showing intelligence beyond her years. Asher, 16 and tall for his age, naturally looked out for his younger sister, making me proud every single day. Gloria had always been ambitious. We met in college when she was studying marketing, dreaming of changing the world through advertising. After having the children, she took a few years off, but returned to work 5 years ago as a marketing director at Pinnacle Solutions, throwing herself into it with the same intensity she once devoted to our family. That should have been my first warning. The late nights began innocently. Big campaigns, early mornings, "Honey," she'd say, kissing me on the cheek as she grabbed her keys. "Don't wait up." Then came weekend calls, late client dinners, and constant business trips. I trusted her completely. Why wouldn't I? She was the woman who had stood by me through my father's funeral, stayed awake with Asher when he had pneumonia, celebrated promotions, and comforted me through setbacks. We were a team, but teams need communication, and somewhere along the way, we stopped talking about what really mattered. One morning, everything changed. I was in the kitchen making coffee when Asher came down, looking troubled in a way that immediately set off alarms. "Dad," he said, glancing to make sure we were alone. I need to tell you something. That's when I learned my 16-year-old son had been carrying a burden no child should ever bear. He closed the door behind him, leaning against it as if someone might barge in to stop him from speaking. My coffee cup suddenly felt heavy as I watched him struggle to speak. Dad, I've seen things, Asher whispered. Things with Mom that don't add up. I set my cup down and focused fully on him. What kind of things, son? He ran a hand through his dark hair nervously, a habit inherited from me. Last month, while you were at a Houston conference, I had to leave practice early because the coach was sick. Mom's car was in the driveway, but so was a black Mercedes I'd never seen. My stomach tightened, but I stayed neutral. Maybe a colleague, I thought. Your mom has business meetings sometimes, I said. That's what I thought too, Asher continued. But the house was too quiet. I called for Mom. It took her a while to respond. When she came down, she looked different. Messy hair, wearing the blue robe Dad got her for Christmas. Even though it was mid-afternoon, I felt a chill in my chest, but I stayed calm for you. She said she wasn't feeling well and was taking a nap, Asher said. But Dad, she wasn't sick. She was anxious, asking me when you'd be home, like she was calculating something. Did you see who owned the Mercedes? I asked. He nodded. I pretended to go upstairs, but watched from the window. About 20 minutes later, a tall man in an expensive suit came out and drove off. I didn't recognize him then, but I've seen him since, at Macy's school play last week. Mom said she might be late for a client call, but she arrived on time. And guess who was in the back row? The pieces were forming a picture I didn't want to see. The same man, Asher confirmed. They didn't sit together, but I saw them exchange looks that weren't business looks. I stood by the window, staring at the backyard where my kids had played. The swing set was still there, though unused.